Hi, my name is Medhat Elmasry. Today's video is about Scaffolding Blazor pages with the new scaffolding tool that was released recently. In order to follow with this tutorial, you will need to have .NET Framework 10 or later. I'll be using VS Code with the C# Dev Kit extension, but of course you can use Visual Studio 2026 or Rider. We will need the dotnet-ef tool, and of course today's video is mostly about this new tool, which is microsoft.dotnet-scaffold. There's a companion article at this site, and you will also find the source code at this GitHub site as shown below. I will create a Blazor app with .NET new Blazor, and we're going to request the server template, and we will use individual authentication, and the output folder is going to be Blazor students because we'll be modeling students. Let's go into that new directory and run the app. This will pop up in your default browser, and it's the standard server-side Blazor template. It's got authentication, you've got the register link and a login link, and of course home, counter, and weather. So I'm going to stop the app by doing Control-C in the terminal window, and I'll close this browser. I will open up the source code in VS Code by typing code dot in the appropriate folder, and this is what displays in our Visual Studio Code. Since I have the C# Dev Kit, which is this one here, I can open up my project under this Solution Explorer tab. In the Blazor Students project, I will create a folder called Models, and in that folder I will create a C# class named Student. And let me add the student class here by replacing the class definition with this student class. And the student class consists of student ID, first name, last name, school, gender, and date of birth. I will load sample data for the students from this gist. This is the sample data I'll be using. So I'm going to click on row here and copy everything, come into my project, and in the www root folder I'll create a new file and I'll call it students.csv because the format is CSV, and I'll just paste all of this in here. I will be using a package to help me import the CSV data into my application, and that would be .NET add package, and it's called the CSV helper. My database is by default a SQLite database because I used the individual authentication template. I will seed the database with the students by adding some code in my application DB context. To start with, I will add a helper method in the application DB context, which is this getStudents method. Let me resolve these namespaces first. This getStudents method, it reads the students.csv file, which we placed in the www root folder right here. And this code simply reads the CSV file and loads it into a list of student objects and returns that list of student objects. In order to seed the database with sample data, we will override this onModelCreating method, and using the model builder object, we will load the data into the database by calling this getStudents method. Before we add a migration, let us delete the migrations that already exist there. So I will come to the data migrations folder and delete this folder. And I will also delete the app.db SQLite database that happens to be in the data folder. And now I will create a migration by typing dotnet-ef migrations, add stu for the name of the migration, -o data/migrations. Now that I have a migration under the migrations folder, the next thing I will do is to apply the migrations. I have got two options. One is to type in the command .NET-ef database update. My preferred option is to apply the migrations programmatically, and that I will do by adding some code to my program.cs file. So in program.cs, right before that last app run statement, I will add this code. What it does is it queries the environment, gets an instance of the application DB context, and then calls the database.migrate method, and that will apply the migrations. So at this stage, having deleted the database, if I run the app.net watch run, it should create for me the database. And here is the database. By the way, I'm using an extension to see what's in the SQLite database, and it is this extension here. If you open this file, you will see that the students have been seeded. I will stop the application and install the scaffolding tool by running this command .NET tool install, and we'll do it global again. And the name of the tool is microsoft.dotnet-scaffold. And I get the message, this is already installed because I already have it. The version of the scaffolding tool that I have is .NET-scaffold, and I can type in version here, and the version I have is 10.0.2. Now let us run the scaffolding tool by typing in this command .NET-scaffold. I'm going to choose Blazor, and I will choose the third option, which is to create all the CRUD components. And then the default project is fine. I'm going to hit enter at that one. And now it's finding the model classes, and the class that I want to model is this student class. So I'm going to choose that, hit enter. It asks me for the database context class, and the database context class is application DB context. The database I'm using is SQLite, which is the third one here, and I want all CRUD components. I'll choose CRUD. It's asking if I want to use pre-release packages, and I don't want pre-release packages, so I'm going to choose no, and now it's scaffolding all the pages for me. The scaffolder has added some packages, as you can see here, and it seems to have made some changes to the app settings.json file. Let's have a look. Yes, it seems to have added another connection string here. We probably don't need the second one, so I'm going to delete that. And now let's go into the program.cs and see what it might have done here. It registered the application DB context using the database context factory, whereas previously it registered it in a different way. So most likely we won't need the second one. I'm going to comment this out because you just need to register the database context class once. Looking further at what possible changes were made, let's expand the components folder, pages folder. Expanding the student pages folder, you will see that it created for us all the CRUD components. The main component would be this one, index.razor that's going to display all the students. In the index page, you will notice that the route is simply /students. So let's go to the layouts nav menu razor page and let us create a link to that index component. We can repurpose this link here. So I'm going to change the route to students and change the text to students again. Let's run our application and see if it works. So .NET watch run, and here we are. We have our students link, and you can see that we've got a lot of students. Note that it's a very long list and there is no paging. Let's just quickly make sure that everything is working. So I'm going to create a new student, call it James Smith, and the School of Mining. Gender is male, and I'll just pick on a date here, say 1999, 01, and save. We go to the bottom of the list. Here's our James Smith. Let's edit that and make it a Jane Smith and female. Save, and there we go. It changed it to Jane Smith, female. Let's look at the details. Looks good. Let's look at delete if it works. Let's delete that. So we know that our CRUD components are working. Let's go back and have a quick peek at this index.razor page. Note that it's using the QuickGrid. Now this QuickGrid is a freely available component. You can search for it. So I'm going to come here and search for this component. So I'll look for QuickGrid Blazor component and see what we get here. This is probably the one you're looking for. It's at aspnet.github.io. And this is pretty much the landing page for this QuickGrid component. It shows you how to do sorting, filtering, paging. Let's do paging. So I'm going to come back to this component here, and to get the paging to work, you need to do the following. Add a directive to the very top here to set the render mode to interactive server. Then in the code section, add this pagination instance variable like this. Note that pagination is set here for 10 rows per page. Then add a pagination attribute to the QuickGrid opening tag that looks like this, and it's bound to the pagination variable here. And lastly, we're just going to add a component here that displays the pagination. It looks like this. Let's run the app and see whether our pagination is in place. Let's go back to our Blazor app, click on students, and here you've got your pagination. If I click on forward, backward, everything seems to be working as expected. We can add sorting so that you can click on any one of these columns and it sorts. All you have to do is add a sortable attribute and set it to true on each one of these property columns like this. And now if I go back to my page, you will see that these are all sortable. Let us see if we can add some filtering. So to do filtering, you need to add a couple of properties inside of your code block. The first thing you want to do is add an instance variable here that will hold the filter that the user enters, and another property that returns the item list coming from the database. So this is going to go to the database, get all the students, and return that as a student list. Next, we will add another property that actually does the filtering, and this property is filtered. It returns an iQueryable. So this logic here is where the filter is read, and that filter is used in a query that will check whether that string is found in the first name, the last name, the school, the date of birth, and we can also put gender here. Let me add that too. So it checks all the columns in the database. Let's add on top of the QuickGrid, we'll add an input field that will capture for us the filter which the user enters, and that can come here. So in this line, we're going to display the count representing the number of rows that have been filtered, and this is just an input field that is bound to this item filter, and it allows us to enter the filter that we want to have. One more thing we need to do is bind the items not to the entire list of students coming from the database, but more to this property here, filtered. So to do that, I will remove this and replace it with @filtered. Now if you go back to the application and enter, say, Joe, it will filter all the Joes. Let's say we want to filter all the females, filters all the females. Let's say we want to filter all those born in 2002, and there you go. You've got a beautiful filter that just works on all the columns. One last thing I want to do is to show you that the components, like for example, the home component, you can have that component attached to a CSS file that only serves that component. And the convention is to create a file by the same name with extension .css, and that would be the CSS file that serves that component. So in the pages folder where this home component is, I will create a new file, custom file. It will be called home.razor.css, and you will see that that immediately gets attached to the home.razor page. And let me add a very simple CSS here where the h1 tag has a class called welcome and the background color is simply orange. So let me go to the home.razor page and create a class here and call it welcome. I may have to restart the application. You see that it has crashed here. So I hit a Control-C and there you go. You get the CSS. I hope you found this video useful, and if you did, please give it the thumbs up. I will see you with the next video. Take care and all the best.